I hope you guys are having a good week. I spent about 9 hours driving home yesterday, stopped to see my bestie for lunch in Atlanta. That was fabulous. And I did not get enough sleep last night. So I am plumb exhausted, and this is a great day to talk about burnout. So if you haven't gone back and watched last week's video, it is still available for you on my profile. And I shared just some really honest and vulnerable truths about my burnout experience in the last couple of months. I have not been walking my walk the way that I usually do. In fact, yesterday at lunch, my best friend said, You are stretched so thin. I don't know how you're still going. She said, I imagine like putty just being pulled, you can see through it. It's stretched so thin. And yet somehow you're still going. And initially, when I think about that, I'm like, yeah, man, I'm still going. And sitting here exhausted this morning, wanting to just go sit down, lay down and take a nap, which I am going to do today, by the way. It's really evident and obvious where I need to make some changes. Now, I just spent Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, 5 days at my aunt's house in like way, way, way north Georgia, almost into North Carolina, I think is right above where she is. Feel like my little twisty today. So I did spend 5 days pretty much not working, just a wee bit, but not much, and just sitting in her house, talking, catching up. I slept until noon one day, which I haven't done, I think, since my honeymoon almost 5 years ago. So I am making strides in the right direction, but I am not there yet. So we are going to delve a little bit deeper into the burnout discussion today. And I'm going to be answering your questions. So today is an Ask Me Anything, and we're just going to go ahead and jump in. But before I do, and as I'm pulling these up, I was going to do it on the computer, but it'll be so much easier to do this on my phone. So you guys are going to have to excuse me for looking down at my phone, but it will be 10 times easier for me to pull these up. So, before I jump into that, though, while this is getting pulled up, I just want to share with you guys who our guest expert speaker is for next week. I am so excited. I don't even know where to put this. Where do I put this? I don't want to cover up the live in case anybody wants to ask any questions. Um, so, our guest speaker next week is Shauna. She is a burnout coach. This is what she does. She's an expert at this. She also works for the federal government right now and leads a team and helps them with their own strategies and their own burnout as well. So she and I've already met, and I got to pick her brain and just kind of understand her perspectives. And she has some really, really unique and interesting ideas that she's going to be bringing to the table for you guys next week. So please make sure that you tune in for that. We're going to be going live on LinkedIn. Let me just triple check the date because tired. I know it's at 4:15. Okay, so Wednesday, the 24th, July 24th at 4:15. So please make sure that you join us. And if you have any questions for her as well, please feel free to submit those. You can comment on any of my posts and ask. You can also send me an email at info@purejoylifecoaching.com or send me a DM on LinkedIn, Instagram. I do not monitor Facebook, so either LinkedIn or Instagram, and we will make sure that Shauna gets an opportunity to answer those questions next week. So, all right, let's hop in. So, one of the first questions that I received about burnout was from a fellow female entrepreneur, also a mom, so a mompreneur, if you will. And she said, let me find hers. Okay. So she said, I am constantly feeling behind. I know that you've talked about productivity before, and I'm doing my best to streamline my processes, but I still feel behind and like I'm too tired to keep up with life. How do you recommend getting over that feeling? So, excellent question. Um, Honestly, that is an early sign of burnout, right? And maybe even like the beginning stages of burnout, if we're just really honest. I have done a lot of looking into what are the signs of burnout, right? And I've been asked that at a talk that I've done before on burnout for a national conference. You guys like my Aquarius mug? All the coffee today. Haven't started on my water yet. All the coffee. So someone actually came up at a conference and said, Hey, I hear all your strategies. They're great. Love it. But how do I know when I'm really getting to that point that burnout is on the horizon so that I can, switch gears and start a different path, right? And the truth of the matter is that's a tricky question to answer. There's not a straightforward answer here. Those early signs of burnout are going to look different for everybody. For me, it's that I'm exhausted. It's that I want to lay in bed more than I want to get up and do my job. And I love my job. Um, that is a sign that my body is trying to say, like, you need to slow down. You need to take a nap, which is why that's exactly what I'm going to do today is take a nap, right? Now, other signs of burnout could include, and I am not a medical doctor and I am not a licensed therapist or counselor. So, take all of this information with a grain of salt. But if you feel like you may need some medical advice, please go seek that and put that first. But some of the other potential early signs of burnout are, almost feeling like depressed or in a depressive state, lack of motivation, lack of energy. Now, here's where it gets tricky. If you have any mental health conditions, if you do suffer from depression or anxiety or things like that, it may manifest differently for you. It may look different. And again, this is where you need a medical professional to intervene and have that discussion with you, whether it's a medical doctor or a licensed therapist or psychologist. Now, some people are getting on the precipice of experiencing burnout and they do more. They do more. They overachieve even more than they already were because they are starting to feel and see the signs that they need to slow down. And that can feel like a failure. That can feel like people are going to think I'm lazy. That can feel like, all right, I just need to buckle down. My mom, my mom taught my son a song that said, I'll have to find it. Maybe I can post it in the comments after the live. But it was something like knuckle down, buckle down, do it, do it, do it. Right. And I mean, there's obviously times that we just need to knuckle down, buckle down, and do it, do it, do it. But there are also times where, yeah, maybe we don't. Maybe we need to slow down and listen to what our body is saying and put some things on the back burner that can go on the back burner. Not everything has to be a priority. So if you are feeling like you have a lot on your plate, and you're feeling like you're exhausted, my biggest advice, especially to avoid burnout, would be to pay attention to your own body, right? What what is different for you? Do you feel this way every day or has something changed? Right? You know that better than I know that. And if it's changed, if it's different, pay attention to it, whether it's slowing down or maybe you're tempted to do more. It's a change, and that's something that you need to pay attention to. Okay. All right. Let's look at one of our other questions. I'm going to pull it up on my phone. Okay. So, someone on my Instagram said, oh, that was my response to her. Hold on. Okay. Any suggestions for resurrecting out of burnout? So, we just talked about the signs that it's coming. She's asking for resurrecting out of burnout. She said the interesting thing about burnout in all caps, is trying to find more energy and time to be able to do the things that cause the burnout. LOL. I guess one has got to be able to know when to hold and when to fold. Okay. All right, that's a great question. So, if you are feeling like you need to resurrect out of burnout, I love the way that she phrased that. Suggestions for resurrecting out of burnout, right? So, we trying to find more energy and time to do the things that cause the burnout. So, yes, that question is actually posed from the perspective of if I'm feeling burnout, I have to pull even more out of myself to keep doing work or extracurriculars or volunteer commitments or kid or spouse or cleaning or chores or whatever it is. I'm already feeling burnout, so I need to dig even deeper to be able to keep doing the things that I need to do. But the things that I need to do are the things that cause the burnout, right? It's catch 22. And so she's asking, how do I pull even more out of me to do those things when those things are the things causing burnout? I think we're asking the wrong question here. I think the question really should be, how do I grant myself the grace and the patience and the understanding and the forgiveness to stop doing the things that are causing burnout? I don't think the question is, how do we reach deeper, right? I think the question is, how do we find the grace to stop doing the things that are causing burnout? That's a tough one because when we are achievement addicts, like myself, when we are type A, high achieving, high producing mom bosses, women, we know how to make it happen, right? At our own detriment, right? So, how do we give ourselves the grace to stop? And that answer has a lot of layers to it, but it really comes down to saying it's okay to let it go. It's okay to give myself permission to let that fall to the wayside and to not get that done, to not achieve that thing, to not have that thing be perfect, to disappoint people, to ride the waves of guilt and feeling like we're not good enough and let it go. So, what do we decide, or how do we decide? Tired. How do we decide what to let go? How do we decide what to let go? That is going to come down to you deciding what your priorities are in that moment. I would recommend looking at what's important to you. You know that I say all the time, prioritize the priorities. What is most important to you? Is it family? Is it project at work? Is it catching up? Is it chores? What is most important? Once you know what's most important, then the rest of the things you can kind of categorize by urgency, right? So family is most important. So something underneath that's got to go. And maybe I want to catch up, but maybe right now just doing what I need to do and what I have to do is good enough. And I'm going to let go of the guilt that I didn't catch up. I'll be able to do that. And I'm going to set a deadline for the end of the month to be able to do that, right? So looking at the priorities and then secondarily looking at the urgency with the intention, with the purpose, with the goal, with the sole interest of letting something go, whatever that may be. Okay, let's do one more question. So this one comes from someone that is not an entrepreneur, works for a corporation, and manages a team. She says, Girl, I am in the thick of it. I'm receiving feedback about progress over perfection. And it's had me thinking that shifting my mindset in a way that can help me avoid burnout. Nail on the head there, right? We are similarly minded, she and I, when it comes to work. So give it to me straight. How do you prioritize the passion projects when the mundane, necessary tasks are piling up. Do you have any thoughts on shifting the mental focus to recognizing the progress? So, let me address two mindset issues here as it relates to burnout. So, her first question was mindset on avoiding burnout. And her second question was shifting her thoughts to recognizing progress and the importance of progress. And these, again, are both issues that come up when we talk about high achieving women, whether you're an entrepreneur or an employee, right? So let's talk about the first one on the mindset of avoiding burnout. Mindset on avoiding burnout. So, um, what our mindset currently is not centered and focused on mental health, well-being, balance, and avoiding burnout. Right. Our mindset right now is super hyper focused on achievement, productivity, getting things done, and making ourselves and others proud. One of the biggest things that we can do to shift that mindset into one that is more centered on avoiding burnout is making that the goal. I'll say that again. To shift from an achievement addict mindset and a productivity mindset, we need to actually make not accomplishment the goal, but avoiding burnout is the goal, right? It's subtle, but it's huge. It's simple, but it's hard. So instead of saying, I need to get all these things done, we need to say, I need to make sure I avoid an exhaustion, burnout, crash, right? I don't want to burn out and crash. So every decision that we make on everything that we're doing as it relates to productivity and work and chores and personally and professionally, they both matter as we make every decision. Then it becomes really simple. And we can say, is this a step in the direction of burnout? Or is this a step in the direction of achievement and productivity? Now, it can be a step towards productivity and also not a step towards burnout. The two are not mutually exclusive. You can still be productive. You can still get a lot of things done and avoid burnout, right? So asking that question first of, is this a step towards burnout? That will either shut down the activity, the thing that you're considering, or it won't, and you can say, okay, is this also helping with productivity? So if it is not a step towards burnout and it helps productivity, do it. Then it's good. Now, let's say I have a lot of mundane tasks, to use her words, in my business, right? And I'm certainly hired 3 people recently to help with some of that so that I can stay in the passion projects, right? But if I ask the question, is it a step towards burnout? No. Okay. Now we're going to ask, is it a step towards productivity? Because, and this is so crucial and this is so important, being busy does not always mean productive. I'm going to sip my tea on that one. Being busy is not always productive. Okay, so it is still important to ask that question, is it productive? Because with the limited time that you have, you want to be doing things that are productive. And this is huge because A, you want to get stuff done. You want to get done, right? But B, if you are spinning your wheels on unproductive, busy tasks, busy work, it can still feel like burnout. Huge. It can still feel like burnout. And the reason for that is you haven't gotten anything done. If it's not productive, that means you're not accomplishing something important, right? And if you're not accomplishing something, then you feel like, I didn't get anything done. And now you have to go into actual productivity mode. And now you are taking steps towards burnout. Okay, so that is huge. So the goal is avoiding burnout while also getting things done and being productive instead of being hyper productive and somehow avoiding burnout. Burnout takes the front seat. productivity takes the back seat. Now, her second question on mindset is how do we give credence to progress? And that also harkens back to an achievement I say addict, it's not really an addiction, right? But an achievement addiction mindset, right? So, um, what that really tells me is that my value and my identity are somehow enmeshed in and getting things done. Progress is not good enough. Perfection is. Progress is not good enough. Completion is. Progress is not good enough. Getting praise for what I've done and accomplishing is, right? And that's a very, or it can be very externally motivated. It can sometimes be very internally motivated. I don't care if other people see what I've done. I really don't. There were so many times at my former job where other people got credit for what I did. Didn't care. Never told a soul. I was like, yeah, I'm good. I just wanted it to be done. I just wanted it to be finished. I didn't give two hoot and hollers over whether or not I got credit for that project or that whatever. It didn't matter. It literally it I didn't care. I'm internally motivated. I want to know that I got the thing done. I want to know that I finished it. I want to know that I achieved it. So ask yourself, is this externally motivated or internally motivated? How you respond to this is going to depend on your answer to that question. If you are externally motivated, um, giving yourself, switching your mindset to giving yourself credit for progress is going to look something like it doesn't matter what other people think. I am doing this for myself, right? It doesn't matter what other people think. I would be doing this anyways. And I'm proud of myself for the work that I've done, right? Small little shifts like that. Now, if you're intrinsically motivated, like I am, and I know this person who commented, she's pretty internally motivated as well. That's going to look very different because we tend to be a harsher judge of ourselves than we are others. And there's a little bit of guilt that comes into play with this too, right? That I didn't get it perfect and I didn't get it all the way done and I didn't get it to what I was maybe hoping it was going to look like. And so there's a little bit of a tie of guilt there. Now, anytime we're dealing with guilt, one of the best strategies that I have used with my clients is talking to yourself as you would talk to others, specifically someone you care about. So, if your internal dialogue is, I guess I should be proud of the progress. I guess I got a little bit done. I guess it was okay, considering everything else I have going on, right? Like that might be what you're thinking. Thinking along the lines of, how would I speak to my child? How would I speak to my partner? How would I speak to my best friend? Right? My best friend knows all the other things that are on my plate. My best friend knows how hard I try. My best friend knows the burdens that I feel. So, what would I say to them? Would I say, oh, I guess it's good enough. I guess it's okay considering everything else you have going on. I guess you have more time to complete the rest of it. No, your best friend's not going to say that. Your partner, your parent might have. That might be where it came from, being honest. Um, but more often than not, we're going to talk nicer to other people. What would you say to your bestie? I know I would say to my bestie, girl, you better be proud of yourself because you got all that done and had all this crap going on next to you. I'm shocked you did what you did. Have you celebrated? Did you take yourself out? Did you get a massage? That's what I would say to my bestie. So think about that and use that dialogue in replacement instead internally. And that can help give you some feeling of accomplishment when there's progress, but not perfection. All right. Hopefully, this was helpful. And I will see you guys as we wrap up our burnout discussion next week with our guest speaker, Shauna. If you have any more burnout questions, maybe you didn't get them submitted in time, or maybe this conversation, made you think of some other things that you want to discuss, please send those in to me. Again, info@purejoylifecoaching.com, DM me or comment on a post, and I will keep my eyes peeled. I hope you guys have a good rest of your week, and I'll see you next week.